Hey folks, we're back at it. Another adventure. This time we're doing a really big one all around the place. We're heading first for Northumberland, where a few birds have been seen, including a red-breasted goose and a red-footed falcon, and then down 4 hours south, down to South Lincolnshire, to hopefully get a blackstock, a lesser yellow legs and a white-rumped sandpiper. And then if there's anything on the way back, we'll get that as well, hopefully, if there's time. Keep your fingers crossed. That's a lot of birds and a big journey, but stick with us, this could be epic. After a 5-hour drive with loads of roadworks, we finally ended up in a lay-by near Ross in Northumberland. After a quick look up at the full moon, we went into the van and settled down for the night. Morning folks, first bird of the day, which is a red-breasted goose. It has been seen. A couple of guys were here, they spotted it. I didn't see it because I nipped back to the van, but it landed at a hell of a distance away. I'm going to spend another about hour here, see if we can find it. When I first got up in the morning, there were already bird watchers in the lay-by, looking over the fields at the hundreds of geese. There were some feeding in the fields at a distance and some flying in. Apparently the red-breasted goose that we'd been looking for had previously been seen with some barnacle geese. So we watched the skies and watched the fields for quite a while. This bird is quite small, so probably quite hard to pick out. We saw so many different geese, mostly greylag, barnacle and pink-footed geese. After a while we moved for a different view in front of a cow field and got plenty of attention from the occupants. Looking over in the far field, we saw some more barnacle geese who were joined by 3 ruddy shelduck. These are increasingly more common visitors from Eastern Europe, so we were happy to see them. These were at a pretty serious distance, so here's an illustration to show you what they look like. Hey folks, we're at the red-breasted goose. I tried to do a video before. I'm going to put it on anyway because it's a bit garbled and rushed. We got up this morning where we'd parked. Happened to be the best place to see it.
Actually where they were.
Yes, there was a few birders and they were looking over the fields at quite a distance. 2 of them saw it as I walked back to the van and I missed it. So we got a bit discouraged, but ended up driving round a little bit to another place that had been seen, and this time we saw it, which was excellent. It was again at a bit of a distance, but it was pretty good. So really nice bird to see. It's a lifer for Kaylee. Woo! And it's the first one I've seen in 13 years in the UK, so it's a real biggie. So next we're going to go to try and find a red-footed falcon.
It's not been seen this morning.
It's not been seen this morning. In fact, people have been there and actively posted online that they've not seen it. So don't hold out too much hope, but we thought we'd chance it anyway. So stick with us. As the red-breasted goose was so far away, here's an illustration. Following seeing this really cool goose, we headed off about half an hour away to where a red-footed falcon had been seen. We stopped partway at an estuary because we saw some birds out there. There were plenty of waders, including this red shank. Also feeding near us, there was a little egret, stealing some fish from under a resting grey heron. Other birds in the vicinity here included an oyster catcher. We left these wading birds and headed into some farmland, where we made a quick stop to look at this family of grey partridge who we nearly ran over and ran into a field. When we got to the area where the red-footed falcon had been seen, the sat-nav took us down a really rickety, potholey, single-track lane, finally parking up at the end and walking to where the bird had been seen the previous day. Hey folks, we're here at where the red-footed falcon was seen yesterday, but not today. It's a bit of quite a large area of moorland, but it's quite pretty. We're going to keep a lookout for it for half an hour or so, and then we've got a long journey ahead of us. So stick with us, we might see it. Fingers crossed. As I was scanning the scene around us, talking to a couple of other birders that had showed up, Kaylee wandered up over a ridge. The area was pretty quiet. We saw a few stone chat, I heard a couple of ravens and a flock of geese flying towards the coast. But unfortunately, as we suspected, no red-footed falcon.
Hey folks, we're where the red-footed falcon had been seen yesterday and not today, and not by us today either.
I've walked the whole of it.
It's a lovely little area with a bridleway, moorland. There's not many birds about at all. I saw a couple of ravens, a couple of buzzards and stone chats, but that's about it really. Quite quiet. I believe the red-footed falcon probably disappeared either yesterday afternoon or today. Never mind. We're going to move on now. I'm not sure if we're going to drive all the way to Frampton Marsh now or pick up things on the way, but we'll keep you posted. So stay with us, see what other cool birds we'll find.
We headed back to the van to work out our next move.
Where are we going?
Hey folks, we're on our way to RSPB St Aidan's, on the way down south towards Frampton Marsh. At St Aidan's there's a lesser white-fronted goose, which is a cool bird and is a life for Kaylee, so worth a slight detour. Keep with us, let's see if we find it. We drove for about 2.5 hours in the wet British weather, eventually turning up at RSPB St Aidan's. This part of the reserve is called Swillington Ings.
Hey folks, we're at Swillington Ings and it's raining. We're looking for a lesser white-fronted goose. I'm hoping it's over here somewhere. The sat-nav wasn't entirely clear, so we'll see if we... Or entirely sure. Yeah, we'll see if we can find it. Just walking in the rain.
We wandered for a short while down a wooded track and then came to a clearing where other birders were. They were looking at the lesser white-fronted goose and pointed it out to us. It was, although at a bit of a distance, pretty conspicuous in its small size. For the entire time we were there, it was asleep with its head under its wing. But we saw enough to distinguish what species it was.
Hey folks, we're at Swillington Ings. We've just been looking for a lesser white-fronted goose, which we did see. So that's a lifer for Kaylee. Yay. Woo! It was super cute. It was sat down asleep, unfortunately, but you could see what it was at a bit of a distance, so the footage is a bit shaky. It's still raining and very muddy underfoot, so if you lose one of us, we're falling over. So the plan now is to head towards Frampton Marsh, because there's a few things that have been seen there. Sorry, I've just had to change hands. There's a few things, trying to stop me from falling over. There's a few things that have been seen there over the last couple of days, including a lesser yellow legs, a young one of those, and a white-rumped sandpiper, both of which are lifers for me.
No, he's not allowed any more lifers.
No, because Kaylee's had 2 today. So, we're going to head there now. Hopefully we'll get there before it gets dark, but I'm not super confident. If not, we'll see you in the morning. If we do, we'll see you a bit later. See you in a bit.
After that quite easy job, we took a walk back.
Where are we going?
Hey folks, we're off to Frampton Marsh RSPB Reserve. It's absolutely hammering down the weather, you can probably see in the window. I'm hoping it dies off a bit by the time we get there. It was about another 2.5 hours to Frampton Marsh. We arrived as the sun was slowly going down.
Still raining.
It's still raining.
It's still raining. We finally got to Frampton Marsh. It's coming to dusk, so I don't know quite how much we'll see. I've seen a lovely marsh harrier. I couldn't get any footage of it, but yeah, it was nice. Just going to go out now, see if we can at least see something. Yeah, there seems to be a few birds out there. How much we'll actually see, I don't know, but we'll have a look anyway. So stick with us. If we don't get it tonight, hopefully we'll get it tomorrow. Something's just landed there.
We took a quick walk to the 360 hide, where that day a white-rumped sandpiper had been seen, which is one of the birds we were looking for. This looked over quite a large scrape, and on that scrape there were plenty of waders. We tried scanning through them in the fading light, picking out a few we could identify. Some of the birds amongst the massive amount of dunlin were ringed plover. Several of these were feeding.
Also, I picked out a group of about 4 knot. These birds in their grey winter plumage. Another bird that was wandering about feeding in the mud was the not so common little stint. These birds generally come into the UK on migration, usually in the autumn. As the light deteriorated to the point where we couldn't identify birds anymore, we headed back towards the van. And this was our parting gift, this great white egret. This huge white bird elegantly fishing in the shallows. As we walked by, there was a deafening sound of waders coming into roost. So that's what we did, went to roost. The following morning we got up early in order to try and get a place in the hide, hoping to get a view of the white-rumped sandpiper. Good morning folks, it's early and we're trying to get to the hide. Well, we were trying to get to the hide before all the birds turned up, but there's hundreds of them here. So yeah, so we're heading there now anyway. Hopefully we'll find our quarry for the day. When we arrived there were plenty of people already in there, but we found a space and looked out on the vast amount of birds. This was going to be a bit of a nightmare, a real needle in a haystack. The quantity of dunlin there was phenomenal. There must have been thousands. These were by far the most numerous species, both resting and feeding in huge numbers. Other birds that were around included some teal, some of which were still partly in eclipse plumage. Across the other side of the water I did notice a few shelduck. These birds are conspicuously large as far as duck species are concerned. After a short while, all of the waders took to the skies. This was an amazing sight to be seen. Finally they landed, and we wondered why this had happened, discovering that a kestrel had spooked them. This lovely bird of prey flew, and at a distance it started hovering and hunting again. I then heard some noises from close by on the shore and spotted this lovely pied wagtail that was looking for insects. After about a fruitless hour, we decided to go and have some breakfast. Hello. We've been to have a bit of a look for the white-rumped sandpiper. It's a needle in a haystack. There's just so many dunlin. We're just getting back to the van to get some breakfast and hope somebody else finds it and posts it on Birdgate. Save us a job. Otherwise, we're going to get back and have a look after breakfast. We walked along the path back to the van, past the vast amounts of black-tailed godwits, looking forward to bacon and white pudding sandwiches. What are you doing?
Making your breakfast.
Ah, breakfast, eh? Well, and then we're going to try and get back out to find that white-rumped sandpiper.
Or yellowlegs.
Or yellowlegs. Or blackstock.
Or blackstock.
We'll see what happens, hey? Hey folks, we're back at it.
With an extra loud cow.
With an extra loud cow in the background. We're back at it, giving it a second chance before we have to go home. So, a couple of hours, hopefully, we'll at least get one of these birds. Fingers crossed. Upon getting back to the hide, it was really busy, but no one still had seen the white-rumped sandpiper. We scanned again. Canada goose and grey-lag goose. A little bit further out I spotted this beautiful golden plover that was resting and preening amongst all the other wading birds. After a short time, one of the birders shouted that their friend had texted them and they could see the white-rumped sandpiper around the corner. So we all exited the hide and headed to where all the other birders were. One helpful birder pointed out the white-rumped sandpiper that was feeding quite close in. Unfortunately, the light was slightly against us, but we got really good views of this American visitor. This species breeds on Arctic tundra in Alaska and Canada, wintering on the east side of South America. So, although a very welcome visitor to the UK, a little far from home. Despite the quantity of other waders about, we got pretty clear views of this bird. This was a superb bird and one we'd come here for. Whilst walking away from this, we spoke to someone who'd seen a black stork. They told us to walk up a bank and walked for quite a while down to a field where it was stood. On the way, someone bumped into us and said it had flown out into the estuary. So we set the scope up and scanned the huge area looking for this imposing black bird. There were a number of birders there, but nobody found it. So after a while, we had to head back.
Hey folks, so we've had the white-rumped sandpiper, which is good. That's a lifer for both of us. Woo! We've also had, we went to try and find a black stork that had been seen and we missed it. We were walking to where it was.
But we did have a merlin.
But we did see a merlin, which was Ace, which is a lifer for Kaylee and a bird she's been after for a while. It was at a distance, but it looked really cool. And we saw it a couple of times from a couple of different angles, which was Ace.
Gone is the curse of the merlin.
Gone is the curse of the merlin. So that is Ace. So not a bad day. Katie's had 2 lifers, I've had 1. So we're going to head back and have a cup of tea and then probably head home. See you shortly.
At this point, we had to say farewell to RSPB Frampton Marsh.
Hello everybody. We just got back to the car after a nice cup of tea and some cake, which is very welcome. This is the end of the video, so it's been an interesting weekend. We've managed to get most of the birds we were looking for, at least half of them. Katie's had 4 lifers and I've had 1, which is super. White-rumped sandpiper, red-breasted goose, less white-fronted goose, merlin. It's been a pretty good weekend, I would say. What do you think?
It's been amazing.
Excellent. So, next video...
We have a little surprise.
We have a little surprise for the next video, which...
we're not going to give it away.
No, we're changing it up a bit, but it should be really cool. So, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Please like.
Please subscribe.
And please press the notification bell.
Bye.
See you soon.